Então, muito bem-vindos a mais um programa do Amor, Tântrico. Nós temos uma pequena, grande surpresa desta vez. Vamos ter aqui ao longo de alguns programas uma entrevista com o meu professor, que é também o líder da NATA, da Escola Espiritual Yoga e Tantra aqui em Portugal, que é o Swami Mahalayananda. Então vamos passar aqui a conversa para inglês, onde vamos então introduzir aqui o Swami Mahalayananda, o nosso líder espiritual também desta escola, e vamos tentar obter um bocadinho mais de informação, um bocadinho mais profunda sobre o que é o Tantra, o que é o Amor e alguns aspectos que podem ser relevantes para todos nós neste caminho de descoberta espiritual. Vamos então. So, Swami, in this show we are making here, we called it Tantric Love, and we would like to have a more spiritual perspective in your point of view about what is love, what is Tantra, and how this relationship is between love and Tantra. Can you clarify a bit for us this?
Well, love today is a very misunderstood concept. Essentially, I think that all spiritual schools agree on what is love. Some will call it the very energy of God. According to the Tantric pantheon, it's the very energy that gave birth to this entire creation and is the backdrop of this entire creation. That is what we sometimes call love. Nowadays, we have become very materialistic, and we don't understand love very well. We can say, to understand it more clearly, love at the highest level is, you can say, related directly with the supreme creative force, is the drive for the entire creation, is the very first impulse into the entire creation is love. So according to Tantra, to Kashmir Shivaism and all other similar traditions, this universe is created out of love. So it's the very backdrop, it's the very impulse for making the entire creation. This impulse reverberates through this vibratory field that we call the manifestation. And at the higher levels, it is this supreme, overwhelming experience that one experiences also at the state of enlightenment, that as this overwhelming, totally fulfilling, mysterious experience that we just can't give any other word, so therefore we use the word love, which is incomparable to what maybe most people might call love. At the lower levels of our being, love is the impulse for having sex. It's the wish for unity. It's what gives us the drive towards wanting to be together. It's what gives us this want to possess things. Of course, it's a very low manifestation of it. That we want a car, we want an apartment, we want somebody to be with. At a bit higher level, it is this desire for care. It's this impulse to give to other people that we can't keep ourselves away. Now we are already in a more beautiful, more elevated aspect of love. Essentially, for the spiritual seeker, love is the innermost impulse that drives us towards the unity with the Creator, with God. Which is not a mental concept, but a profound inner drive, a profound inner wish for being whole, for being complete. Because love contains in itself freedom, completion, this sensation of coming home. It has so many names we give it. Amongst most people, it unfortunately has taken nowadays what Krishnamurti calls a hideous form. We use it, we trade it. If you do like this, I love you. If you do like this, I don't love you anymore. Parents use it with children, friends use it with each other, lovers use it as a means of extortion, because it touches our profound fear of being separated from, which is the spiritual urge inside a human being, and is planted there as a seed from the moment of creation. This very core of our being that embraces love, which is, you can say, the beacon, this that gives us the direction home towards the point of creation, towards the Creator, towards that unity, which we have this subtle sensation, or sometimes very subconscious sensation, that it will fulfill us, make us whole. At the lower levels, people use it in their relationship as a way to give, and even mistake it with sex, though also the urge for sex is essentially born out of love, but it's a very low reflection of it. Where we can say, when such an act as, for example, love-making is done with love, it will elevate us. When it's done without love, it lowers us, turns us into animals. So how we approach love will transform us, because love in itself is a hugely transformative force. At the higher levels of our being, when we start transcending the ego, the individual selfish want, love comes out as an infinite source inside our being, mysterious, inexplicable, something that rests in itself. And that opens our awareness towards compassion, identifying with other people, caring, that makes us understand a few very important things for a spiritual seeker. First of all, there is no separation. There never was, can never be. Love is this energy, this force, this awareness that penetrates everything and glues everything together. And everyone I have ever met, also from my own experience, that has ever experienced this profound love, agrees that the idea of separation is just an illusion. From a tantric standpoint, this universe is very real. Our perception of it as a separation, is the illusion. And love is that part of us, is that element in us that makes us realize that. That is one reason why people are so fond of sex, because at least for a brief moment they experience this complete forgetting themselves, this complete surrender, this complete wholeness. And this is why we are so desperate when we are left by our partner sometimes, because we make our partner our possession, someone to fulfill us, someone to fill up this lack of wholeness, because most people are incapable of experiencing this completion on their own. But essentially, when we really embrace fully love in our being, in our hearts, there's no such thing as separation, there's no such thing as loneliness. Because love is our very nature. When we realize who we are, when we realize our soul, the self, we realize the nature in that is to love. Just like the nature of the sun is to shine, the nature is to love. We try to own the love, we make relationships, we marry, we do all these things with our children, with our friends. We try to possessively, jealously possess their love. You must love only me, because otherwise it's not love. That is actually how we kill love. Love is free, it's by its nature free, cannot be owned, cannot be possessed. It's this extraordinary force that is at the very basis of whom we are. So when we discover our true nature, when we discover this, our soul truly, we discover that the very basis of our being, our existence is love, joy and happiness. It's not something we need to make. We don't need to make happiness. We want others to make us happy, but it's a sad notion because it's already set for disaster when we try to do that, because it's the wrong direction. It's something we already have in ourselves. The reason why we project it on somebody else, that is when we try to have that with someone else, due to what we call the law of resonance, that whole field is multiplied exponentially. For a moment at least, we experience this exponential multiplication of this love, joy and all that in us, when we reflect that into ourselves and into another person. And by that, for a brief moment, we experience this. One of the important things in Tantra is to learn how to extend these moments infinitely, so that we continuously are aware of who we are, and we are continuously full of love, joy and happiness. As my teacher puts it, if you're not continuously full of love, joy and happiness, it's because you're doing an effort not to be. So, love is the basic energy, is the basic vibratory field of God. God is inseparable from love. And therefore through love we can experience God, the Creator, the most profoundly. That's why love is so important. That's why almost every single spiritual tradition has made inside their core what we call Bhakti Yoga, namely a path of devotion. The Christian tradition, the Hare Krishna ISKCON tradition, Buddhist tradition, any tradition has somewhere this aspect of devotion, because the devotion increases our resonance with love, our capacity to open up, to let love happen through us. We don't create love, we cannot make love happen, but we can open up for it to exist in and through us. It's not something you can possess or have and give to someone. You can let it pass through you. We never owned it and will never own it. It exists everywhere. The question is, do we open up to this capacity to increasingly let that happen through us?